a lot of people are to blame, but you have to start with the best player. I said it yesterday about LeBron on Undisputed. The best player gets most of the credit when they win, and the best player has to get most of the blame when they lose. So that obviously is Kawhi Leonard, 7 for 19 from the floor. He had been tremendous. We all know that, especially in games 3 and 4. He was unstoppable. And yesterday he laid an egg. You're at home. You have a chance to take total control of the series, and you go 7 for 19, 1 of 7 from 3. You continue when you guard Luka, which seems to be rare. But when you do guard him, you got no answer for him. And in that corner 3, I'm not always jumping on somebody for missing a game-winning shot or potential game-tying shot as that was. But it was just a bad shot. Obviously, it was heavily contested because he pump-faked initially. And then he airballs it. And so that Kawhi is the most to blame. He wears the lion's share of it. Paul George carried him at times. Obviously, 10 points in the fourth quarter. Looked really good at times. However, he had 2 big turnovers late, in the last 5 minutes. And so he's not blameless either. But I got to put most of it on Kawhi Leonard.
So, yeah, and Kawhi Leonard from the same spot on the court that Paul George hit the side of the backboard. Kawhi Leonard one-upped him and said, I'll just hit none of the backboard or the rim or the net or anything. I'll miss it by 2 feet. So here's the thing. Kawhi had been great. He was good-ish in game 1. He was spectacular in games 2, 3, and 4. And he was bad yesterday. Now, can we give a guy a bad game? Absolutely. Do we need to acknowledge it was a bad game? For sure. Do we need to have the discussion? What would a first-round loss do to Kawhi Leonard's legacy? Of course not. It'd be idiotic. We would only do that to LeBron James, but it's what Kawhi's staring at. It'd be, by the way, the 2nd of his career. 1 shy of Michael Jordan's 3, but of course 2 more than LeBron's current 0. That's neither here nor there. So Kawhi gets the lion's share of it, but the other people who do are Lawrence Frank and Michael Winger. And can we show the layup missed? Because what you're going to see is when Luka has a bad turnover late, you'll see Kawhi never go inside the three-point line. But what you'll also see is Terrence Mann get the ball, give it to Paul George. Paul George inexplicably gives it right back to Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann then passes to Nick Batum, missed layup and missed tip in Tim Hardaway. Kawhi's out there on the periphery. So should Kawhi go get the ball? Maybe, yeah. But why do I say Lawrence Frank and Michael Winger? Because they built this roster. And somehow, in the final minute of a 1-point Game 5 playoff game, your best options are Nick Batum and Terrence Mann, 2 of your 5. I've been saying it all postseason. It's not a great roster. You've got a great player in Kawhi. You've got a very good player in Paul George. I thought before the series that would be enough to beat the Mavs, who have 1 great player and then a bunch of guys. But it's not, because they can't slow down the great player on the Mavs. He's averaging 35. And in the biggest moment, Kawhi had his worst game. And it's like, but they have playoff Rondo. And it looks like, playoff Rondo, what's he doing? 6 points, 6 assists per game on 35% shooting. But they've got Patrick Beverley. No, he doesn't play anymore. They've got Reggie Jackson. He had a great third quarter last night. Give him credit for that. And so Kawhi's going to wear it, Brandon, because he was bad yesterday. But this is not a championship roster. It's never been a championship roster. And we now have 3 rounds of the playoffs showing us from last year and this year, they've never gotten the roster right.
Right. All right, so let's reset the table real quick, because I want everybody that's watching right now to understand this and know that everybody on this panel picked the Clippers to win this series. Nick, you abandoned them early after game 2. Chris, you abandoned them. You said it was over. Wilds, you went out there and you also said, it's over. Look, it's not over. It's definitely not over. For you guys to criticize a Kawhi, Paul George, Reggie, playoff Rondo is taken away from Luka, a guy who's been sensational all series. A guy who's potentially A guy who's potentially going to be the face of the NBA in a couple years. Luka was magical, Nick. I don't know what you did with this guy in the offseason, raising him and as he was growing up, because you always talk about him being your stepson, your godson, or whatever you call it. But he was sensational. From the second three he made, you saw it in his eyes. You know when you just can find the bottom of the bucket, he's going to be there all night. This dude was phenomenal outside of a few minutes where he seemed a little tired. But you guys criticizing Paul George and the others and Kawhi and the others is taken away from him. If you look at the box scores, what you're going to see is you're going to see the Clippers. They played a really good game. They played a complete team game. The Reggie Jackson that you said after the first game, Reggie Jackson's never been good in the play. He stepped up. He played well. All right, and then you're going to look at the other side and you're going to see guys just playing okay in Dallas and Luka being sensational. So Luka was the difference, Nick.
Yeah, but it's Kawhi and Paul George's job to stop him. It's not golf. It's not like, well, I shot 11 under this round, but man, he shot 13 under. It's your job to stop him. So if one guy is annihilating you, then it's like, okay, who's supposed to be guarding him? Well, you've got Paul George, who, when they acquired him, you said was one of the best two-way players in basketball. You've got Kawhi Leonard, who once upon a time was the best defensive player in basketball. And last night, Kawhi Leonard, again, heavy is the head that wears the fake New Balance crown. And he tried to put it on. So now you've got, in Game 5, Wilds, you've got a guy who on defense, let me just finish this, then go ahead, Brandon. In Game 5, on defense, he got cooked. On offense, he was awful. And at the end of the game, he airballed the game-tying shot. That happened. So you can't just be like, well, he
Brandon,
tried.
come on.
Well, let me throw this out here.
Real,
let me throw. All right, that's fine. All right, that's fine. That point taken. But who stopped Michael Jordan? Who stops LeBron James? Who stops KD? Who stops Steph Curry? That's what we're dealing with. That's my point. It's like you guys are talking about this as if Luka.
We're dealing with Michael Jordan now?
Yeah, Luka.
Guess what?
Luka is going to go down as a top 10 player ever. If he continues
that's right.
he's going to go down as a top 10.
And guess what?
Slow down.
But hold on. But guess what? Wilds, you know who stopped Michael Jordan every single year in the playoffs? The Celtics or the Pistons or whomever the hell until Jordan got great teammates. You know who stopped LeBron early in his career? No, hold on. This isn't a shot at Jordan. My point is, Broussard, that when Jordan was on a team with 0 other All-Stars, no matter how great he was in the playoffs, his team lost because the other All-Stars showed up for the opposition. KD got bounced in round 1 early when he didn't have other guys. LeBron, of course, didn't get bounced in round 1. It's the benefit of being the greatest player ever, but still, he wasn't winning titles.
He's about to.
Wilds. Luka's not supposed to do this. And if he is going to do it, Kawhi is at least supposed to match him. Kawhi is in this prime of his career, 29 years old, trying to win a title after a failure of last year. And after playing great in games 2, 3, and 4, he was terrible. There's no way around that. We can't treat him like he's a charity case. He's a great player who had a terrible game and airballed the game-tying shot.
Okay. Here's the weird thing.
For the fifth
reason
time.
why I think the Clippers should have some optimism. And I want to dig in on, you're like, Luka's not supposed to be able to do this. Luka doesn't necessarily have to do this. Remember the guy called the Unicorn? Oh my gosh, what a star. He was at Madison Square Garden. We've never seen a player like this. He's 7'3". He keeps on growing. He can hit threes. He's supposed to be amazing. And he had 8 points last night. And guess what? He doesn't really like Luka. I think this actually bodes poorly for the Mavs. Meanwhile, the Clippers had 5 guys in double digits. And I know we want, at the end of the game, Broussard, the stars to have the ball. I totally get it. You want Kawhi to have the ball. You want Paul George to have the ball. But if you ask Ty Lue or you ask any of the guys on the team, like, hey, what about, I know we want Kawhi to take the last shot or the game-tying shot, but what if I can get Nick Batum, a 1-foot shot? Is that okay? A 1-foot layup, Patrick Ewing style? Can he do that? You'd be like, you know what? That's okay. I'm not going to kill Lawrence Frank for building the roster because Nick Batum is incapable of making a 1-foot shot. I think that's okay. So the fact that the Clippers had 5 guys in double digits, moved the ball around, and the Mavs got 1 guy, I think Ty Lue can sit down and be like, you know what? Let's stop Luka. We're sharing the ball enough, and we can come back and win 2 games in a row.
Look, well, there's so much to address. First, you're right. Terrence Mann should have shot the layup, number one. He should have shot that layup. Nick Batum should have hit it. I'm glad you brought up the Knicks and Patrick Ewing because it did remind me kind of Charles Smith missing those layups against the Chicago Bulls. So I hear where you're coming from. The best player does not always have to take the last shot. Nick, I'm not here to defend the Clippers front office, but you are off the rails, okay? How's the Lakers roster look when you take Anthony Davis off of that? All right, or take their 2 best players off of that? I mean, I can go all the way around the league and see a lot of teams that if I take away their 2 best players, they're struggling.
Who's missing?
No.
They're all there.
Nick, no, what I'm saying is if I take away the 2 best players off the Clippers, I'll take the Clippers roster against the Lakers roster. I know you think THT is TNT. He's not, all right? They should have went out and got
defending the Lakers roster.
Then they wouldn't be on the brink of elimination.
Who the hell's defending the Lakers roster? Listen,
no,
the
I'm
Clippers
just saying,
don't need to worry about the Lakers roster.
We can pick on
they need to worry about the Mavs roster.
If we take their 2 best players off. That's all I'm saying.
But they're 2 best
So I just think that was unfair. All right, now, this series, the Clippers are hanging on by their chinny chin chin, all right? They're not dead. They've got a little life. But my prediction is the Mavs close them out in 6. Brandon, I'm sorry, but you'll have to stop bragging after that happens.
Oh, my goodness.
Listen,
Oh,
they've
my
played
goodness.
11 games in the last 2 years of the playoffs. In 2 of those games, Luka got hurt. In the other 9 games, Luka is averaging 36 points, and the Mavs have won 6 of them. Or I'm sorry, 5 of them. So, when Luka is healthy, the Clippers cannot beat them back-to-back. Can't do it. So, Brandon,
Oh, my
Brandon,
goodness.
are you, I'm just curious.
Okay, all right,
are you
listen.
still picking the Clippers?
Listen, I'm not going to debate. When we get this deep in the conversation when it comes to basketball, I'm going to let you and Chris go deep there. I'm going to let you guys know how this thing is going to play out the rest of the way. Because, I said earlier, my playoff predictions are spot on. So Luka and the Mavs come out, they win games 1 and 2. What happens? Kawhi, Paul George, Ty Lue, their back is against the wall. They come out, they win game 3, they win game 4. Now all of a sudden, let's go back to game 3. Luka is dealing with a cervical strain. I never heard of that. I played 13 years in the National Football League. 13 surgeries. Never heard of a cervical strain. What is that? How does that work? How do you rehab that? And all of a sudden, game 4, they win it. Game 5, they are tired. This is the problem, and this is why the Clippers will win Game 6, and then you go to Game 7, and I'm going to go with the champion. I'm going to go with Ty Lue, a champion. I'm going to go with a team that has playoff Rondo. Let me tell you why. Your boy Luka, Nick, he's not in shape. So when you go back to Game 3, we talk about the cervical strain.
Okay.
That boy was tired.
Okay.
He was tired.
Okay.
That's what
All he's
happened.
doing is averaging
Now he just
35,
dropped
9, and 8.
Brandon, you've descended
Luka's
into
out of
fantasy
shape.
now.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.